Laura Huang, you already know. The science of mastering your intuition. You've probably felt that moment when something just clicked, or something else felt decidedly off, before you could explain why. That's your intuition speaking, a quiet wisdom shaped by everything you've seen, felt, and experienced. Too often, though, we ignore those gentle nudges or talk ourselves out of them, assuming the right answer can only come from hard logic, rules, or expertise. In reality, the instincts you already carry are far more powerful than you think, if you're willing to hone, refine, and master them. Cultivating your intuition isn't about following a strict formula. It's about tuning into yourself, noticing how your personality, body, emotions, and thought patterns shape the way you respond to the world. It's about learning to recognize the subtle signals your instincts send and distinguishing among moments of clarity, unease, and surprise. Each experience, success, misstep, or unexpected twist adds layers to your gut feeling, gradually developing it into a more reliable guide. In this blink, you'll learn how to notice the hidden workings of your intuition, strengthen it through self-reflection, and sharpen it by observing real-time feedback. You'll discover how interactions deepen your instincts and how iterations turn gut feelings into a trustworthy inner compass. By paying attention, acting deliberately, and embracing the lessons in everyday life, you can unlock a clarity and confidence that can help you make better decisions, navigate uncertainty, and seize opportunities with a steadier hand. Ready to unlock the full potential of your intuition? Let's dive in. Intuition 101. When people talk about a gut feeling, they often describe it as a sudden flash of certainty that appears out of nowhere. In reality, those sparks of insight are but the visible result of much more extensive workings beneath the surface. Intuition. Intuition is the ongoing process that gathers our abundant and diverse array of experiences, knowledge, and outside influences, quietly drawing them together until the right moment arrives. That's when we get the familiar jolt of clarity that feels like our inner voice speaking up. This process is less intentional number crunching and more subconscious narrative weaving that pulls threads together in ways our conscious mind can't fully explain. Sometimes, this process unfolds quickly. At others, slowly. Either way, when the pieces finally fall into place, the outcome frequently feels instantaneous. The challenge is that that feeling rarely rings through as a loud command. More often, it's a whisper, easy to miss in the constant noise of daily life. Obligations, social chatter, and news feeds around us all drown it out. To catch it, we need to get better at listening. That might mean reducing external distractions so internal directives become stronger, or training ourselves to notice the subtle nudges that intuition sends our way. Both require intention, but with practice, our inner voice gets easier to recognize and access. Then, if and when we do hear it, we're wise to trust it. Remember, gut feel isn't random. It's a reflection of all we are and know, distilled into a highly concentrated, profound realization. Problems arise only when we second-guess ourselves and hand over to authority to others' opinions at the expense of our own. Honoring gut feel, then, is really about honoring the relevance and value of our own lived experience. This is especially pertinent when life gets complicated. Not all challenges are created equal. Some are straightforward, some can be broken down with analysis, and others are tangled or outright chaotic. For straightforward and analytical problems, rules and expertise do the job. But when situations grow complex or unstable, where the correct solution might only become clear after the fact, gut feel becomes essential. Only gut feel can help us identify the signal from the static when logic alone falls short. Seen in this light, intuition isn't a mysterious gift we're occasionally bestowed. It has the potential to be a steady, ever-present process that, when we give it attention, offers flashes of guidance we can act on confidently. So, let's unpack 3 practical ways we can develop this skill set. Hone your intuition with introspection. So we've established that gut feelings aren't separate from who we are. It follows, then, that to develop these instincts, we first need to turn inward. Introspection gives us a way to notice how our intuition shows up, making those gentle nudges easier to hear and act on. And under the introspection umbrella, there are 4 key dimensions to explore: our tendencies and personality, embodiment, emotions, and thinking patterns. Personality-driven intuition comes from understanding our baseline traits. Everyone has natural inclinations, some obvious, some subtle, that influence how we perceive and respond to the world. Reflecting on these qualities, our strengths, quirks, and areas for growth, helps prepare us for the moments when intuition draws on them. Asking questions like, which traits guide me most? Or which traits do I wish I employed more? Are insightful places to start. Our bodies play their own role in intuition. That flutter in the stomach, the tension in your shoulders, or the sudden lightness in your chest aren't coincidences. The brain and body are intertwined, so physical sensations often carry the meaning our mind is processing. Learning to notice where these signals commonly show up and what they feel like gives us a clearer sense of what our instincts are trying to communicate. Emotional intuition adds another layer. Emotions are often dynamic and layered, making them tricky to read. The key is to become fluent in what we are feeling. Instead of settling for vague descriptions like, I feel off, we can instead specify feeling fatigued, frustrated, or quietly infuriated, for instance. Simply pausing to jot down or name aloud emotions throughout the day strengthens this skill. Over time, you'll find patterns emerge that, in turn, will crystallize gut feelings as they'll be informed by a more precise emotional trap. Finally, cognitive intuition comes from the mental frameworks we carry. Schemas, mental models, and prototypes are examples of how we filter information and make sense of the world. By noticing these underlying narratives, we can better understand how our mind automatically interprets situations and where our thinking may need adjustment before we take action. Awareness of our mental constructions thus increases the accuracy of our intuitive processing and safeguards us from biases or blind spots. Paying attention across these 4 dimensions begins the transformation of intuition from a vague sense into a very real guide. Our personality, embodiment, emotion, and cognition tendencies each provide unique data points, and by noticing and reflecting on them, we hone a richer, more reliable sense of instinct. Refine your intuition with interaction. Once we've tuned into how our instincts operate through personality, bodily sensations, emotions, and thought patterns, we can turn to noticing how they direct us in real time. Intuition then becomes more of a day-to-day companion helping us recognize signals that either confirm, challenge, or completely reshape our understanding as they occur. These signals commonly arrive in the form of a Eureka, Spidey Sense, or Jolt. Eureka, or aha moments, are those flashes when something suddenly clicks. They happen when new experiences align seamlessly with what we already know, creating instant clarity and excitement. To recognize these moments more deliberately, start to observe how your 4 dimensions of intuition respond. Which personality traits make you feel alert and focused? Where in your body do you sense openness or wonder? What emotions tend to accompany that clarity? And which topics spark that sense of awe? Noticing these patterns helps you cultivate insight and anticipate future moments of understanding. Spidey Sense, or uh-oh moments, on the other hand, shows up as discomfort or unease. Something feels off, signaling that we should slow down and pay attention. Again, observing how our traits, physical sensations, emotions, and thoughts interact can clarify these warnings. Which aspects of your personality feel challenged? Where do you typically notice tension or agitation in your body? What emotions surface, and which thoughts or topics leave you unsettled? Recognizing these cues allows you to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Jolts, or whoa moments, are a third type of intuitive signal and can be paradigm shifting. Unlike Eureka moments, which confirm what we already know, jolts shake up our assumptions like a snow globe and leave a new way of seeing the world. They push us to rethink beliefs, habits, and perspectives. Once again, tuning into all 4 layers of intuition during these moments is key. Which traits are resisting or adapting? Where in your body do you feel the shift most profoundly? What emotions typically accompany surprise or disbelief? Which ideas or experiences tend to spark a noticeable change in your thinking or behavior? By distinguishing and defining your individual Eureka, Spidey Sense, and Jolt moments, you can begin interacting with your intuition in the moment. In doing so, you step into an active and proactive role, instead of passively sitting back and waiting for your gut feelings to arise, refining your ability to make nuanced decisions in even the trickiest of situations. Master your intuition with iteration. Building on the work of introspection and interaction, iteration is the final frontier and where intuition truly matures. While our gut feelings never lie, they can be misread or misunderstood. So mastering them requires a commitment to reflection and learning from experience. Through iteration, instincts become more precise, reliable, and attuned to both the familiar and the unexpected. Ironically, some of the most challenging lessons for us to learn come disguised as lessons we think we've already learned. Overconfidence can creep in when we assume our past experiences or expertise make us infallible in certain domains. This situational arrogance can distort our instincts, causing us to dismiss subtle cues that call into question our assumptions. One way to counter this is by immersing ourselves in the experiences of others. Reading widely, reflecting on narratives, characters, and key ideas, and connecting them to our own lives gives us greater perspective and expands the context in which our intuition operates. Each insight adds depth and nuance, helping us recognize biases, sidestep blind spots, and notice opportunities we might otherwise miss. Mistakes are another essential ingredient. Taking bold actions will inevitably lead to missteps, but these experiences are invaluable for strengthening our intuition. Every failure, misinterpretation, or misjudgment contributes to the evolution of our schemas, mental models, and prototypes. Instead of dwelling on an intuitive error, it helps to accept that some things will simply go wrong, and treat these instances as welcome opportunities to recalibrate. We could, for instance, set a time limit on how long we'll allow ourselves to wallow in negativity, maybe a few hours, a day, or a week, then move on, letting the lesson inform future gut feels rather than letting the regret linger. Iteration also thrives on reflection over time. By reviewing past successes and failures, we can map patterns to follow or diverge from in similar scenarios. Remember, our gut feel draws not just on what we consciously know, but also on the subtle, often overlooked lessons embedded in everyday life. Honoring the value of each experience adds layers of context and understanding, gradually transforming the cluster of seemingly random, fleeting hunches into a body of reliable, steady guidance. Ultimately, intuition is deeply personal. Iteration ensures it grows into a tool that is both uniquely ours and consistently trustworthy. By stepping back to gain perspective, learning from mistakes, and continuously integrating our lived experience, we can master what we may once have believed nebulous, our intuition. And if we do, we'll likely find ourselves wondering how we ever got through life without such an internal compass. To You Already Know by Laura Huang. You've learned that the guidance you need isn't somewhere out in the world. It's deep inside of you. Your gut feelings, shaped by your personality traits, experiences, emotions, and thought patterns, are resources you can hone, refine, and master. Paying attention to how you react, reflecting on successes and missteps, and learning from both your life and the lives of others are all ways to help your gut feel become sharper and more reliable. By tuning in, experimenting, and iterating, those vague hunches can turn into clear signals that guide your decisions with multifaceted insight. In this way, your intuition becomes a constant companion, uniquely attuned to you and your circumstances. Over time, intuitive decision-making will feel less like a gamble and more like navigating with a compass, allowing you to move forward with clarity and confidence.